care of it. Yeah, I was living abroad for a while. Yeah, like right around the pandemic. Got stuck in Denver, and then last year I was hopping around trying to find. I was testing out cities. And my last spot was San Francisco. Oh, this is where like all the AI stuff to go. This place is not. And my friend was like, oh, that's awesome, just like try it. For summer, and then like, try it again. So I came down and was like, oh, that's right. 10 years ago, it's still.
That's a great spot.
I didn't know. I mean, I was trying to go to all the events. I like marketing machines. It just wasn't
the thing that irked me about that stuff is like really that's kind of what awesome.
Other people.
Yeah, other people. Yeah, exactly. So like all my neighbors, I live right under the gateway. A lot of my neighbors, they just do a bunch of different things. My neighbors, like in the mortgage business, another neighbor, pilot price, like golf streams, like just random stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it makes the conversations more like interesting and less yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've got 2 kids, right? Oh, really? Oh, that's how you do it. I saw you down there. Yeah, when I heard that, no, my sister lives in San Francisco. It's like, her house is like 1.5.
I know, like the right for everything has to do with AI, like it's all just starting to data center processing. I don't know why.
We'll probably want to try and ship out like
Taylor. Yeah, I know. I can't say that.
I would take a small baby smarter.
Small but so like the flyovers data like domestic
it's a SaaS
learning like a data
service. So we monitor companies for you.
Despite it's like you have to do more with us. Mistakes are wrong.
Let's do that. And I will say, okay, here's the university you're monitoring. Where do you work?
That would go like you go up to towards like Facebook. That's
whatever.
You're just like, all right, so we only do 20%. we need to raise money or not, but we can still like, pre-sell it in a week.
What they do is they help translate the
Like, we're not for sure. My opinion is not
really nice.
a lot of things that the market doesn't exist anymore.
So we can
It's
tell
new ones, but then like using one of the major spin it up yourself. For sure. What do you think of that?
What cancer screen or what most people do is interact. So like, for example, we don't play remote, 100 AI projects with us. So whenever there's some sort of call to hey, can you tell me, because they already for us, cancer X. Hey, can you tell me, what would cancer say? False positive rate. That's a lot more powerful.
Take action. Hi, have you thought about these and then next phase after that is the conversation on top of the organizations, right? That's kind of what happens like but I think it's
accurate about 40%.
It's not me saying it's like
wrong.
That's how we set up our sales. Our goal is to connect one number and health professionals. You want to do right? Like, all right, so that wipes out all like marketing technology. That entire industry is gone.
they've already kind of done that, right? Where basically just like testing. It's like so the ad inventory is like free for them. So they just like test like on Instagram okay, like who's this person like this, I think that they're gonna be it's less about like graphics and demographics, right? Like John lives in Austin and he started a founder and he's from Chicago and these things like it's less about that and more about like, okay, well, what do you need? What do you experiment? We kind of already do that, but like for sure, right? So like, I was gonna like agency space. It's like over time you start seeing things. That's part of my dad's stuff. Like I'm switching over from last year to this. I just don't see a future with any of the stuff I started. Before I started this, I have done like 40 other contractors in my
Just say you want to have everywhere.
what are you doing? Like, maybe like 2 or 3 out of the 4 have any idea about like what that is. I was just like, oh my god, you're gonna be one guy. You're like, oh wow. No idea. And then like the 2, 3 of us are like, alright, what are you out? What are you doing?
Companies don't tend to SaaS,
all of a sudden, every single person just got smart. What that means is
cloud for basically just like operating
Mark was
the entire.
we still have Mark's knowledge.
Right?
So what?
For every like
What that means is that our customers are going to be charging wherever you want to get to a new model or it's going to change outputs to the same
like if you're like the New York Times,
what's like a
you're producing something
what determines it?
like
You don't bring determinants.
for an AI to get access to that.
It's backwards compatible. when you upgrade to the version, you don't have to worry about
I go to your because like for instance, this app that I use for my which is great.
we work on that.
This is just
Yeah.
He's also one of their
it's way better than me like it's better than you like a Reddit.
Yeah. So then what Cloudflare is going to be saying, like all these tools that we're going to go to these individual companies, we're going to charge you the tool.
Charge like the LLM, so like
Oh, I
right, where it's like, okay, I'm searching for something, it's like for our listeners, right, it's like, okay, what's one of the best, like, intro referral programs for the market? And like, yeah, we want to use it for cost, right, so like more on, so it's gonna go like, shopping, because they're not even like, total customers are pro publishers and businesses and all that.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I was looking up. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, until Meta comes up with medical apps, devices are gone, it's not in your ear.
Yeah, right.
All UI, all software is gone.
Моя донька. Дуже такий працює. Да, трошки привчаю. Як справи? Все нормально. Ти туди? Так, я туди зроблю.
Sounds good.
Hi everyone, we are starting, so please welcome. If you can come closer please, because there are, it's not a lot of people there today. Come closer to us. If you are not inviting us, so we will not invite you.
Closer to me.
My job.
I think you spend a little time Hey everyone. Hi. My name is Leo. I'm a co-founder of Big Sister, and I'm one of the hosts. And Lucy, you probably received some messages from her, and Lucy is responsible for this event. And I shortly tell you about the sales hosting community, what we are doing here, and what we plan to do today. We start this event, I guess, last October, and try to do this every month. Like portfolio company of Capital Factory, they are the sponsors of this event. We understand that it can be the maybe first or maybe the one of the sales events regular in Capital Factory, because when we sit here 2 years, we understand that we don't have any sales events. Everyone probably knows everything about sales, just only AI events and meetups, just only like developers meetups and events, but you cannot find sales. So I was saying, oh cool, we can build our own community and try to choose some topic and talking about this, share the knowledge, share the experience, ask speakers, and find some guests, some people who can share
and today we have a cool topic like mistakes, and it's hard to talk about your mistakes, and it's not just only an event when we just only need to listen. We can listen, we can ask, we can talk, and after the event we can make some discussion and make some collaboration. We can like share everything which you don't understand, or if something valuable for you, you can talk with speakers after the event. So it works like we have two speakers, or these speakers share the topic, the presentation, and we can ask after this topic everything which we need. And then, yeah, I guess we can schedule the next one. And we can start from Pete. Pete, our first, I guess, speaker. And he probably can explain more about his experience. But when I met Pete just only today, but I follow Pete probably a few years, and I have been one of the first, I guess, one of the first users of Hfiive, and Pete is co-founder of Hfiive too, and maybe he can explain more about this. But he's had huge experience from enterprise, from LinkedIn, from Trello, so please give some applause for Pete.
Do I just push the arrow here, or what am I? Oh, you're good. Oh, perfect. Great. So let's talk about the revenue drain. I'm Pete Ryan. Yeah, what I'm going to go through is just a little bit about me, my Hfiive story, which is the most recent company I founded, the new world that we're living in, and then 3 lessons I've learned over the last 5 years of working on Hfiive. So yeah, a little bit about me. I'm Pete Ryan, based in Austin. I live in Lakeway, got 2 kids. It's 3 in 1, so I'm in the thick of it. I've got a startup during the workday and a startup at home, which is kind of wild. Originally from Chicago, I lived in San Francisco for 10 years, and then moved to Austin 8 years ago. And yeah, I wish I'd moved here sooner because it's a great place. Yeah, worked at a bunch of different companies, like in sales and sales leadership. Was really early at LinkedIn, employee number 150. Helped them start up their sales solutions team, like head of enterprise sales. And then I was over at Double Dutch, which was a startup, employee number 7, selling mobile event apps. Hire, which was a hiring marketplace for sales talent. And then I was at Trello, as their head of enterprise sales, which was later on acquired by Atlassian. And then most recently, Hfiive. And so just to like set the stage, the things I'm not going to be focusing on is kind of like post-product market fit, which is normally stuff like managing people, process, products. There's some great books that I recommend for that, like The Qualified Sales Leader by John McMahon, Sales Acceleration Formula by Mark Roberge, and then From Impossible to Inevitable with Aaron Ross and Jason Littman. So, but rather what I'm going to be focusing on is really the Hfiive stuff. It's B2B, go-to-market, the stuff that you may not hear in books. Maybe you have, but most likely not. And so a little bit about Hfiive. Our whole thesis has been go-to-market has absolutely hit a cliff. The days that I love these days of like, I used to download Zoom info, put it into outreach.io, push go, and I'd like set up all these meetings. And so, fast forward to today, a lot of the channels are fatigued, buyers are fatigued, trust is eroded, and so our whole thesis is around go to network, which is, with Hfiive, like practically speaking, you can invite all of your investors, advisors, customers, partners into a group, and then, we've operationalized the entire intro flow. We have payouts, right, when meetings happen or deals close. And then on top of that, we have 500 plus connectors that you can tap into. They're like super well connected people, mostly in marketing and sales tech. And so, yeah, Hfiive has been a journey. I'll just say, it's been a lot of hope and fear. You kind of look at the y-axis there, and then over from like 2021 to 2025. And so it really started off with us raising $5.5 million. And our product was really a competitor to Crossbeam, if you guys are familiar with Crossbeam, but it's kind of like, you know, you connect your CRM, Salesforce, or HubSpot into Crossbeam. You know, you invite all these partners, they do the same, and then it finds like overlaps between customers and partners, or customers and prospects. So if like I have a prospect, I'm trying to reach a customer, I can easily kind of surface that through Crossbeam. And so we kind of said, okay, let's be Crossbeam for sales. And so you know, we ended up like getting to $1 million ARR like rather quickly. You know, we grew the team to 15 employees, and then we were like, oh shit, like, you know, Crossbeam is just growing super quickly. All the like CROs that we were talking to, they're like, oh, well, partnerships really owns this. And then we talked to the partner manager, and they'd be like, oh, well, we use Crossbeam. And so we ended up doing a pivot. And so the pivot was basically a Chrome extension that sat on top of LinkedIn. And so if I was trying to reach a buyer, I could really, in an easy way, like request an intro through like a few multiple connections in common. And we like made that process super easy. And then, oh fuck, the SaaS apocalypse hit, and this was right around 2023, 2020, or late 2022. And we just started to see a lot of churn with our customers for obvious reasons. And, you know, yeah, we were just really at a dark point in the company. And so, of course, we did another pivot because we were seeing the churn. We saw like users using our product, and then a lot of action, a lot of good stuff happening. And then, you know, you can only go back to the well so many times with intros. It's like a learning for us. And so we ended up saying, okay, well, let's tap into these people that have a lot of networks, or have a large network, and let's pay them to make intros. And that's kind of like the evolution of what we built around like premium connectors. And then of course we had to lay off 11 people, right? And so, you know, we were getting pressure from our board. You know, you got to extend your runway. We don't know how long this SaaS apocalypse is going to last. And so it was a really painful time for the company. So fast forward to today, right? We're, you know, now a 4-person team. We've grown to like 2 million ARR. You know, we've gotten churn under control. I wouldn't say it's like, you know, it hasn't become perfect. I think like a lot of it is figuring out what customers are right for us, because not every customer is like the perfect fit. And then, you know, profitability, which has been huge.
Maybe could you share a little bit about the business models that you guys tried, if it was always like subscription or if you did?
Yeah, 100%. So we've tried the marketplace model, where it's like pay per intro and then we take 30%. We've tried the subscription model, right, which actually we have like a platform fee today for companies. And then, yeah, aside from that, we've tried like the per user model, right, and seats with sales teams when we had the Chrome extension. So yeah, we've thrown a lot at the wall. Yeah, great question.
In your latest iteration, what is your?
Yeah, of course. So where we landed is platform fee, right? And so depending on the company size, from like startup to enterprise, right? Like, you know, ranges from, you know, $1,000 a month to like $3,000 a month. And then each intro is like $250 to $500 if that lands in a meeting, and then 10% if the deal closes. And so like the $250 and the 10%, that goes all to the connector. And so yeah, that's really our model with our premium connectors. If you have like investors and advisors, you're not going to pay them for intros. And so you know, oftentimes that would just be like a $0 intro.
Do you have next idea for pivot?
Oh, I'm sorry?
Do you have like next idea of a pivot, or it's like the last one?
Oh, do you?
Kidding, yeah, so yeah, we can.
Oh, no. Yeah, sorry.
Are you going to pivot again?
We're going to try to do one more pivot. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're set on this model. So, also a great question. Okay, so what's happened pre-2024 to now, like 2025 and beyond, right? Like before, it was investors were pushing us like raise as much as you can. We were like preempted a Series A. We like so happy we didn't take it because we were kind of at that dip, or actually before the dip, we were like, you know. But anyways, first pivot, and so learned a lot there. Now it's raise as little as you can, right? And not always. If you've hit product market fit, go to market fit, raise a lot, okay? Or if you think it makes sense, there's other liquidity options for you though. Also, it used to be hire as much as you can. I remember like everyone asked me like, oh, how many employees do you have in your company? Now it's like I take pride in, okay, we're only 4 employees, and so it's changed, right? So it's hire as little as possible these days. used to be spray and pray. It's kind of, I was talking about the Zoom info, download it, put it in the outreach. It's become a lot more account-based everything, meaning account-based sales, account-based marketing. You're a lot more strategic and targeted in your approach. It's gone from sales-led growth with SDRs, which like the SDR function, it used to report into the head of sales, and now it's really drastically moved to like the head of marketing, and like heads of sales are more than happy to hand off that baton to marketing. So yeah, it changed to marketing-led growth, product-led growth, relationship-led growth, and I'm probably missing some other growths or led growth. So yeah, so what's forced the change? Obviously AI, right? It's really leveled the playing field. You know, anyone can create product these days, right? Using, you know, Windsurf, Cursor, Lovable, the list goes on. Money is expensive, right? And so, you know, it's not as attractive for, it's just harder even for our, you know, our VCs to raise from LPs. So that's been a massive shift. The buying behaviors change, right? It's become a lot more digital first. There's this abundance of information. You can go into ChatGPT and say, okay, you know, we're a 50-person company based here, and, you know, what's the best CRM that we should use, and it'll instantly give you the answer. And then obviously, you know, economic climate, it's demanding efficiency. So like a lot of the vitamins that were really hot, you know, back in 2020, you know, whatever those were, right? Like it's all about pain pills. Like how do you drive an ROI? Okay, so let's move on to the lessons I've learned, the 3 painful lessons. One is conserve cash, right? So, you know, I'm really of the thought, and you know, some people might disagree with me, and is like, you know, having a 2-person team, right? A seller, right? That's, you know, doing sales, fundraising, maybe some marketing, and an engineer, right? And like that's really all you need. There's actually a few laws, right, that agree with this, right? There's like Brooks Law, like it's about basically like if you bring on more engineers into a software development project, it actually slows down the project. There's the Ringleman effect, which is like the more people you have on your team, the less accountability there is for each person on the team. And then of course, like, you know, communication channel complexity. And so all of this, by the way, is like, you know, what I recommend go-to-market fit, product market fit. And so, and a lot of it's obvious too. So like, you know, with 2 people, you have like 1 communication channel. 3 people, it's 3 different communication channels. 10 people, it's 45 different communication channels, right? And I'm not talking about, oh, we're talking on Slack or WhatsApp or whatever. It's more like just the complexity of making decisions goes drastically up. And so, you know, again, it's, you know, if you're looking to scale your company, right, it's you kind of have to hire people. One thing we didn't do, which I wish we did, is a high interest savings account. So like, had we put the $5.5 million into like a Vero or Wealthfront or Now, right, that spit off like, you know, 5% interest, then, you know, we basically could, like, that 2-person team could have gotten to product market fit without actually having to dip into any of our capital. And so yeah, I talked to a founder today that's actually doing this. I'm like, oh, bravo, smart. And then of course, lesson number 2: do not sell ahead of product market fit. I can't emphasize this enough. I think as a sales guy, right, it's like, I'll answer your question. As a sales guy, yeah, all I wanted to do was sell, right, because that was like my comfort zone. And then like as an engineer, all I want to do is build. And so it's just like, you know, if you start to scale sales and like everyone just wants to sell, right, then you run into issues. Sorry, you had a question.
Yeah, could you share with us how did you build your sales team? If it was like, what kind of go-to-market motions you used, and if you hired too many salespeople, if you had SDRs, like what did you use?
Yeah, so like in 2020, so we had 6 sellers, including myself, and we did a lot of things differently then than we're doing now, right? Like, so for instance, we did, you know, a lot of cold outbound, right? LinkedIn automation, email automation. We did ad retargeting. We did events, right? And then obviously we, you know, did our best to like leverage our own product, eating our own dog food. And so today, like fast forward today, like what's working is obviously our own product, right? So we're getting like, early on we built a advisory network, and so we basically increased our cap table to from like 10 million shares to 100 million shares. We carved out 2% of the company, so like 2 million shares, and we just dedicated that just to advisors, right? And so and we have some great advisors too, and so like you know, we're getting intros at kind of a pro bono rate, right? So we're not paying the 250, we're paying more like 100 per meeting, and then 10% if the deal closes. We're doing events, and then you know, something that I still think works that we're actually not doing, but we're like discussing doing is like there's a lot of like efficiency tools around like cold calling, but like cold calling is great. And so, you know, I think a lot of this depends on the market you're going after. Like if you're going after SMB versus mid-market versus enterprise, it's going to depend on what you do. I think like, you know, email can work, right, and with SMB. You know, you can leverage tools like Clay and others, and it's great. Yeah, I think like it just for us, it's like we're still selling into tech. We're trying to expand out of tech, but it's just a lot of it is relationship driven. We found like doing the hard stuff, like going to events and meeting people, and then obviously like word of mouth. So
how do you got your advisors?
Yeah, so I was lucky to have a co-founder that he co-founded this big event called SaaSter out of San Francisco, and so you know he has just like a network already, and then aside from that though, it was like reaching out to people on LinkedIn and just like sparking a conversation with them, getting them interested in what we're doing, and then you know if it made sense, right, bringing them on as an advisor. And so, yeah, there's kind of a song and dance to do it in a way, right? Because, you know, like with advisors, like my learning is like no one's going to know the business as well as I do. So like advice is cheap, right? And so, you know, a lot of people have these great ideas and have taken a lot of bad advice. But like really, what's the most valuable are like introductions to people we're trying to meet for like a sales or fundraising perspective. Yeah, go ahead.
Which part of the market does cold calling work best for? I mean, it probably works for everything. Like, I'm surprised that like big businesses answer the phone sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, these days, right? It's like you're like a lot of the enrichment services are going to give you cell phones, and so there's also art to that, right? Like cold calling people, but yeah, I mean, I remember when I was at LinkedIn, we would cold call, like that's what we did. Like that was how we went to market, and it worked so effectively. I'd say these days, like if you're gonna cold call, like tools like Orem or Nux, they can kind of help you spin up a lot of volume. That's like, you know, what works the best.
What's your best cold call opener?
I like to call them at about like 5 a.m. and just say, hey, I'm Pete. I'm here to help you make some money. Just when they're just barely awake. You know?
Yeah.
And I guess the opener that you are from LinkedIn, it works much better than if you go right now from Hfiive. Yeah, it's like
yeah, of course. Yeah, but actually,
up.
believe it or not, like LinkedIn in the early days, like most people pronounced it as like LinkedIn. You know, it was like not a widely known thing. But yeah, like over, you know, I was there for 4 years. Yeah, the brand definitely helps, right? But yeah, any like you know warm you know warm way of going in, even like mentioning a connection in common, or you know saying finding a
changed.
That's right. Yeah,
It's like,
strategy change.
Now it's like business TikTok.
Yes.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Before for me it was just a year or 2 years ago. It was like recruiting stuff. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's become pretty noisy on LinkedIn for sure. A lot of promoting, you know.
Yeah, but let's pause this in mind. So like, I have a question. How to stop sell ahead? Like, I understand concept, but like I have problems with my founder. He's running in front of wheel.
Yeah.
And like, no matter what I'm trying to do, just push him back and say, hey, we are not ready yet.
Yeah.
Any tips how to do
Yeah, I mean, I think probably finding like that, like everyone wants to be useful, right? So like finding something else that they can be doing aside from selling. I mean, really like what I'll talk about is like, you know, like doing a lot of customer discovery and building those relationships early around like creating, design partnerships and, I mean, it could even be the case of, get him on or her on, doing, building an advisory network, right? Which is, somewhat sales, so, yeah.
Yeah, this is what I recommend, because I don't want to sell hair.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I like to come with product and explain everything, and if you want the idea, if not,
Yeah.
and then something happens like in the next 6 months or so.
100%, yeah. Yeah, it's tough though, yeah. Sellers want to sell, And I heard this from like a partner at Sequoia who was giving a talk, and like, it's like, yeah, don't, push ahead with sales too early. And I didn't even listen. So.
I'm not salesperson, like
Yeah.
I'm global manager, but this is like what I'm trying to do, like to find the right balance.
For sure, yeah. It's tough, but happy to chat after it too.
Yeah.
So don't sell ahead of product market fit. So it didn't have to be this way, going back, right, I would have spent, and we could have condensed this too, right, by the way, but just spending more time in the lab, right, like doing the customer discovery earlier, like if we were, obviously like customer discovery can kind of move into pilots and even doing like paid pilots. I recommend paid pilots, right, because you want people to have skin in the game. But I would have made sure that we knew our direction before, before stepping on the gas with sales and so on and so forth. And so, during this time, like when we're in the lab, right, I would have either done a pre-seed or a seed, which is like, I don't know, 20% dilution, give or take, or even better, right, I would have like been employed and been like building and testing. On the side, I know that's a challenge, but I know plenty of founders that have successfully done that. So what are the steps you should take just to get to product market fit, go to market fit? A word of the wise, right? Like everything I'm about to show you, can't skip the steps. I've tried to skip the steps, it does not work. And so, one of our investors, this guy Tim Connors, these steps aren't mine, right? But I trust this guy. I've got to know him over the last 5 years. He's invested in companies like Chime that just went IPO, and Looker and others. And he's like just a one-man shop, right? So his backdrop is always like, a bunch of like yard workers and like people in it, or like a mountain or some crazy shit as his second house. And so he's been around the block. He gets it. And so so it really goes down to like 4 steps in winning metrics, right? One is, does your product work? Can users get from A to B to their desired outcome? The second is, do people like it? And really you're collecting this from like qualitative feedback, word of mouth. Is your active user growth, your daily active users, your monthly active users increasing? And then after that, it's like, okay, do they really look like it, right? And you're not going to figure this out until either like a few months in if you're an MRR business, or a year in if you're an ARR business, like logo retention, right? So if you're at like logo retention of around 90%, and then net revenue retention of like 100 to 120%. And then the last, and actually this is where a lot of companies fail, believe it or not, like they've gotten to winning metric 2, but the unit economics are not healthy, right? And so like Salesforce in the early days, right, they were 1-to-1, like their cost of acquiring a customer equaled their lifetime value of the customer, and you can kind of grow that way early on. But like 3-to-1 is ideal, and products with like network effects, virality, that obviously helps. Collaboration tools like have a huge advantage in that. If you look at Atlassian's 10K, right, their marketing and sales spend is like very big. And not every company's that way. Yeah.
Just curious here, when you guys were in the beginning of the company, were you like already focused on number 3, like thinking of the next round, or you really obsessed?
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking to your buddies and they just raised like a $50 million round, like you're gonna be like, yeah, but, oh, that has to be us, right?
Yeah.
And fast forward to today, they're like, some of the smart ones are giving their capital back. They're saying, here's 70 cents on the dollar. Our $450 million valuation, we're never going to reach that in any sort of exit, and so let's lower our valuation to get acquired at a more like reasonable rate, because they don't want to work on it for 20 years or 10 which they could, right? They have the capital to do it, but it's not, you know, yeah, there's more interesting things in life than you know, the same project for 20 years, in my opinion.
There's stuff that's more interesting than B2B software.
What's that?
I said there's stuff that's more interesting than B2B software.
No, actually, there is more to life. So I do want to take a quick commercial break. In the crowd, we have the proud owner of a pirate ship. His name's Sam Mosier. If you guys are ever looking to go on Possum Kingdom Lake, he's your guy. He'll take you out, and it's a really, you know, he's my brother-in-law, by the way. Yeah. There's no kickback though for me. So there should be a kickback. No kickback. All right. So last point: messaging and focusing is everything. You know, I'm a big fan of like jobs to be done. Again, these are none of my ideas. These are all like published ideas. But you know, something we didn't do early on is like framing the product marketing to like really resonate with the audience. And so, you know, if you're reading this, it's like, you know, when a situation problem happens, I want this desired outcome so I can do, you know, have this impact. And so, you know, Gong does this beautifully. Nowhere in Gong's like product messaging are they saying conversational intelligence or call recorder or, you know, any of that, right? And so it's just all about like, okay, what's the outcome? And one of our issues is like, oh, for us, it's, you know, the who, right, is, you know, sales leaders that, you know, have been in the business for 10 years, and we're kind of creating this like persona of this person versus focusing on the what, right, which will kind of help you drive your product messaging, your strategy, like who you're selling to, all of that. And then, yeah, talking about like the ideal customer profile focus, you know, really like, again, we made a mistake here. Originally, we were focused on selling to CROs, and then we realized, you know, they don't necessarily have the budget authority. We're always getting pushed over to marketing. You know, they don't necessarily have the most urgent pain, right? Like they're focused on leads, but it's like one of like 10 things that they're focused on. It's like one of the bigger things for sure. But like marketers, like they're just all about, you know, they're all about like trying new things, which helps. They're all about driving more MQLs and SQLs. It's like sales qualified leads, marketing qualified leads. And that's really like what they're tracked on completely. And they're trying to solve this problem right now. And so, yeah, we tripped on ourselves, but figured it out. So that's all I've got today. Yeah, I guess in closing, if anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn or chat offline, I'm happy to do it.
Could you go back to the slide where it was what we would have done when it was like the big red box on the timeline?
Yeah, you got it.
So like in the lab with the paid pilots, what were you going, like what does that mean? What would you have wanted to learn from that experience?
Yeah, so so I think it's like it comes down to one, are we solving the right problem, right? And is it a big enough problem and a big enough market for us to go after? Like, had we just stayed along the path of like the crossbeam path, you know, we would have had some probably moderate success, but then we would have realized that like the partnership market in general is just like smaller than you would think, right? And so so you know, I'm actually we kind of like naturally gravitated to more of like just a bigger market, which is like, you know, marketers and sellers. And really like during this phase, it's about it's about like kind of nailing down all the fundamentals of your business, right? So like what, you know, really like everything we talked about on this slide, right? Where is that slide? Actually, I'll just say it. Which is like, you know, have we achieved product market fit, right? And like, how do we know we've achieved product market fit? Really, it's like, figuring out those winning metrics, right? Like, does the product work? Do users love it? Do we know that they love it? And have we figured out like a go-to-market motion where it just makes sense, right? And so I think those are all things that you can figure out in that box of, you know, you're in the lab, right? Like you're not yet, you know, you may have like done a soft launch, but you're still early, and just spending more time in that space is better. Because like, even raising funding, it's all about timing, right? And so you want to have that stuff figured out, and if you raise ahead of time, it's just you're up for a world of hurt. Right?
Yeah.
I have a lot more gray hair because we raised likely too early. Like, I think like in pre-seed and seed, you're probably safe, right? In the sense of like, you don't have the scrutiny that you would at like a Series A, with regards to like seed is investors know that you're just trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
But like even if we did a pre-seed, did this right with a lesser amount, we still could have lived in that zone, not really burned a lot of cash, and then figure stuff out. Hopefully I answered your question.
You did, yeah. And so like you're saying the demand signal from like raising too early didn't get like the ramp that you would have wanted to see because that demand wasn't there because you were pre-product market fit?
It's more about like raising is the wrong signal, right? So like raising, you look at all these TechCrunch articles and it's like, oh, this company just raised an assload of cash.
Yeah.
It's if your business is like is built on the right foundation, like you're building a house and you're spending a lot of time on the foundation, then your house is just going to be a lot stronger, right? And so, whether you raise a seed round or work at a company and do it, and like you've got the stability of the company and you kind of can figure stuff out on the side. So it's like if you're a seller or an engineer, right? You've got like one other co-founder that you're doing it with. To me that's like the winning path.
So if you raise later, it's okay.
If you have product market fit and go to market fit, and but just know too that like if you raise more, your exit will have to be a lot more versus if you stick in the seed range, right? Build a really good business. You can get bought at a much more realistic price, and everyone's happy. So.
Is there a way that you kind of how do you frame the pilot to the customer? Like instead of just saying, hey, we're super early, you're like one of our first customers.
we're looking for design partners, right? That will
customer advisory board.
Exactly, customer advisory board, and if you're willing to give them equity, like all the better. Just know too that they might change companies, but that's fine too, right? Like you could probably follow them where they go next. And they have to have skin in the game though, right? Like a paid, even if it's like you normally charge $30K, you charge 5K for the paid pilot, right? Just you want them invested. So, what's up, Sean?
Going?
Good to see you.
Sorry I'm late.
Man, no, you're good. The last thing is just around like messaging. One thing that really helped us a lot is like Hfiive.com, which is basically helps you. You basically fill out like, okay, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Like, what are the steps that our users are trying to solve it in? And then you can actually have these calls, like put that data into Hfiive, and it helps you with, again, product marketing, your overall strategy, how you're positioning yourself against competitors. And then what's great too is they have a full course too of like videos. So, anyways, I know I've gone way over 20 minutes, I think. So sorry.
Well, this is fine. Any questions for Pete?
Peter, you gonna send this out?
Yeah.
The slide deck? I know you and I've talked about a lot of that.
So Sean was actually an early customer of Hfiive, so thanks again. Appreciate it.
It's been an interesting journey. He and his partners really evolved the product, and I've learned a lot. I launched a startup as well recently, an AI software startup, and I've learned a lot from Pete. So
I've learned everything I know from Sean. No, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Super. Thank you. Thank you, Pete, for being here and sharing your mistakes. And the next one is Eduardo. Eduardo probably explained his experience better than me too, but he built, I guess, the biggest, largest software company. So
Yeah, I'll explain a bit more, but I built, who here is familiar with G2.com or like Capterra, websites like that? So I built that kind of website for the Latin American market. So my experience is in a different market as an entrepreneur, but there's a lot of mistakes I made. So I think that's why Bella called me here. Hey, you made a lot of mistakes, so let's share it. But yeah, I'd love to learn a bit more about you guys before I start. Who here is like a software entrepreneur as well? Okay. Who is VC backed? All bootstrapped? Who is? What's that?
No, I'm just saying.
That's right.
I just think they're trying to steal your energy. I mean, like VCs are trying to.
Yeah.
Could be very aggressive.
Could be. Yeah.
So I bootstrapped at first, but I have an angel investor now, so kind of between, you know, no VC, but kind of investor advisor.
Yeah, nowadays it's a good thing to have VCs, I guess. Yeah. And I talked to some of you. Who of you are running your startup while you're also like you have your full-time job? Cool. All right, so I'll be happy to chat more. So, again, I'm Eduardo Muller. I'm gonna be sharing some of mainly the mistakes that I've made, mainly with my startup. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Brazil, Latin America, and I moved to the US when I was 18. Went to school at Purdue, did engineering, and then I moved straight to sales. I went to work initially with Siemens, so doing very large enterprise sales. Then I went to be a founding account executive at this startup called Nutshell, which is a CRM. So if you try different CRMs like Zoho and different ones, you probably came across Nutshell. Spent most of my time in the Midwest, so Ann Arbor, Michigan. And then I went back to Brazil and I started a couple businesses. I met this guy in the photo, Aaron Ross, who wrote this couple books. One is Predictable Revenue, the other one From Impossible to Inevitable, which Pete also shared in one of his slides.
It's a good book.
Yeah, pretty good book. And then Aaron became my business partner. So basically my first business was to launch Predictable Revenue, which is Aaron Ross's business in Brazil. So it was a totally service business, helping startups and scale-ups really build this kind of scalable method of prospecting B2B sales. So it's interesting that normally where we are here in the US, the Brazilian market, I know there's a Brazilian here in the audience, Brazilian market is kind of like 10 years back when it comes to like go-to-market and software. So it was cool that although Predictable Revenue is it's an older book nowadays here in the US, but back in 2017, it was just launching in Portuguese. So everybody was talking about it, and we were basically, the main boat was like this specialization of sales team and starting with an SDR team and training SDR. So we capitalized on that. It was pretty good. And then after that, I was like, okay, now I want to build my first software company, which was B2B Stack. So like I mentioned, B2B Stack is, it's kind of like G2 and Capterra, these tools here in the US. The motivation for me to build B2B Stack was because I was selling consulting, and everybody asked me, hey, what's the best software for this or that, best CRM? I was like, okay, I know a handful of CRMs. So, and then I realized that Latin market didn't have any marketplace like that. So I started the marketplace B2B Stack. We raised about $600,000, which in Latin market takes you a bit further in runway. I'll talk a little bit more about it. And then I sold it end of last year. So I sold both the companies I was partners with, Predictable Revenue Brazil and B2B Stack. And then now I work mainly with development teams, both with nearshoring from Latin America, which is Ancient, and Saplandia, which is an applied AI company from Finland. So if anyone wants to build product without having to hire like an internal team like I did all by myself, so talk to me and I can help you probably. So some of the things that I'll briefly share here are some of the main mistakes that I've made. I probably would need like 5 hours to share my mistakes, but I'll try to do it in 20 minutes. But mainly they were in 3 categories. So either with cash efficiency, so I can already say that I spent too much money hiring a bigger team that I needed. So that was, especially in sales, so that was one of my mistakes. Time optimization. So one of the things I try to do, and I'm happy that the audience here thinks differently than I used to, and I've changed the way I thought about it too, is I was kind of obsessed about fundraising. I thought I had to raise the next round. That was back in 2018. And so that's why I asked you, Pete, like, what was the metric that you were looking at? Because I thought I always needed to raise the next round. So a lot of my time was allocated to fundraising, and some of my advisors would tell me, hey, you should be full-time fundraising. But I was also a solo founder, so it was quite impossible. So I had to be selling a lot of times too. And then the other one is resource allocation. So for example, one of the decisions I made back in the day was, okay, we're gonna build the product 100% in-house. So found a good CTO and we built the team, product manager, designers and everything. Nowadays is a different situation because there's a lot of AI tools that can help a lot. Back in 2018, we didn't find many of those. And also like labor resources in Latin America are a bit lower cost. But still, it was a lot of work. It's like Pete shared the other slide. We had a lot of work with communication. For example, one of the lessons learned that I had was, although I was founder and I'm mostly like a salesperson, but I was also the product manager. So we hired a great product manager, but I would still need to be the person who translated what I learned from customers to the product team, and would even like write specifications and get really like with the hands down on it. So here's sharing a little bit of also what I learned from mainly these 2 experiences. So again, I'll talk mainly about my experiences with B2B Stack and predictable revenue. SaaS Talk, I actually helped building the LATAM event that we had with Alex. So that was a good community experience. But I'll share a bit of like the bootstrap journey, both with a service company, Predictable Revenue Brazil, and B2B Stack, a software company. So one of the things that I noticed is, although we raised a little bit of money, at the end it was the same. It was the same as bootstrapping, because the money we raised was basically to build a product. So with B2B Stack, we always had to be revenue generating. So in the beginning, it was kind of like how Pete shared. We also wanted to generate revenue to learn, but we always had this pressure to hit sales goals as well. So both companies were the same. Now I am more of a fan of service companies because it was way less risky and our revenue was building up quite nicely at predictable revenue. B2B Stack was more difficult, like how Pete shared there. So we had more actually plateaus. And one of the things I wanted to share from this slide is also, it's good to think about what's going to be the revenue, the go-to-market engine, let's say, of your startup or your service company. For example, with predictable revenue, we realized that really our engine would be our brand. So like I said, the Eros book and his name was super strong in Brazilian market. So we could really lean on that, and we had this huge inbound motion that would continue to grow. So it would fuel our events. We would do events like this all the time, and SEO and everything. When I met Aaron, I actually LinkedIn DM'd him. I was in the south of Brazil and he was in San Francisco, and I invited him to do an online conference. So I asked Aaron, I asked this guy Mark Robert and some other people, and the conference ended up bringing like 10,000 people online. So that was the initial, the beginning of Predictable Revenue Brazil. So back in the day, for those who do paid media, I used to pay 20 cents of dollars per lead on Facebook ads, and those used to be good leads. Nowadays, it's a completely different story. So that was how the market was in Latin America. So it was a good timing for that. So what I want to say is, like, we found a good inbound motion because of this moat of predictable revenue at that time. So it's a good thing to think about if your company has that kind of thing. B2B Stack was a different story. So it was way harder to solve this chicken and egg problem because we built this 2-side marketplace where one side was software buyers, the other side is software vendors. So initially we need to do some technology to get there, but our main go-to-market engine was SEO, because when we figured that out and we started to get this nice listing of this many vendor pages and reviews and all that, then the SEO started to generate both buyers and the vendors got sometimes organically interested in, like, hey, I want to claim my page, I want to become a customer. So SEO back in the day was our main growth engine. But I want to talk about the mistakes. Some things went right, but there were many mistakes. So to summarize, some of the top 5 mistakes I believe costed the most for us. One of them was hiring salespeople too early and hiring too many salespeople. I'll talk more about it. The other one was being obsessed about this kind of subscription SaaS model. And again, the reason why I made that mistake, I think, is because I was looking for the next round of fundraising, and really what I should have done is what Pete shared in the slide, which should be being obsessed about the model that would generate more results to the customer and that the customer could grow organically with us. The third one, underestimating face-to-face. So we wanted to do a lot of these online things. Of course, I got excited by the 2017 time when leads were cheap, but still, like this kind of face-to-face interaction. When I say events, I mean also face-to-face visiting customers, going to any kinds of meetups. That's always important. I'll talk more about it. The fourth point, I think I took too long to build case studies. Nowadays I realize how those are important, especially for what I sell, which is selling technology to developers. But at B2B Stack we took a bit too long to build case studies. And the fifth mistake was sometimes getting like a lot of advice and trusting some of these simplistic channel narratives. Like nowadays, people are killing every channel. Like outbound is that, and inbound is that. Every day we hear stuff like that. But what really works is to experiment in-house and see what works. I'm gonna share a bit more in detail about it.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Could you
Go back.
Yeah, go back, please. What is too long to build case studies? What do you mean? So,
Yes.
What it was?
Yeah, so B2B Stack was a new category. That was another difficulty we had. So now one of the things that I wish is next time I start something, I wish I could have competitors. Because
You wish you did or didn't?
I wish I had competitors because it's hard to build a category. You're just educating a market.
Okay.
And case studies come to that as well, because we were selling at the end to software vendors, and it's interesting that we sold both to the global vendors like Oracle and Salesforce, but also to the local vendors. We had to have a good local presence. And it was easier to sell to global vendors than local vendors because the local vendors had never seen it before. So how do I buy it? How do I pay for it? And once we started doing more of these case studies, it became easier to explain, look, this is how we built it with Salesforce. This is the kind of ROI you can expect. And especially in our case, we needed to basically train a marketer on how to look, what metrics to look at in a tool like this.
So your advice is to do it more easier and to faster, yeah, to build this case study. I know. I mean, the decision is to understand how to do this case studies more quickly, yeah, and more easy, and to find these ways how to do it. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes even like take a customer as a free customer, give a license and really build this really nice case study. So I wish we had more of that.
So in your case, if global customers was more easy to sell, it's more easy to focus on global than on local, yeah, and to explain them what is this. Am I right or no?
Yes, yes. So at times there was that, but then I'm gonna talk about the mistakes I made with team. My sales team was more equipped to sell to local. Most of them didn't speak English, and sometimes to sell to global, I had to go prospect. So there was that.
So this is the kitchen with the new windows.
Like you are.
So talking about mistakes I've made with team, so yeah, you're the first sales rep, and that's I know it's harder for people who are like more developers and not salespeople, but it's really important if a founder could really go ahead and do the sales before trying to bring people. I did the sales initially, but the mistakes that I made was I brought salespeople too early. Like eventually we had, so in Latin America, the dynamics of the team is the team you build is different, right? So I ended up building a 30 people team, which is too large. It's really hard to manage. And there were like 4 salespeople, and that was very hard to manage. So
Yeah, but you have like 500K ARR.
Yeah.
Like we need to start hiring pitch or 1 million ARR.
Yeah.
It means that it's like for Brazil. Yeah, 500 or.
yeah, no, $500,000 in Brazil, that's pretty good. So
That's really good.
yeah, it's because you need to have more customers to reach that.
Yeah.
That's like $4 million or something, right? No,
Yeah,
more than that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
so it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, this is why I asked because it's like 2 times less, but for Brazil probably it's like more big decision, bigger level.
Yes, yes. But the main problem I had with salespeople was my startup was still like this, very frugal, very difficult to have budget to bring the best guys. And sometimes we got the best guys, and they generated some result, but it was hard to keep them, even offering equity and stuff like that. Oracle or this nice funded startup would steal them. So that was one of the main issues I had.
Yeah, I just had a question about your business model for B2B Stack. Was it like subscription, or you pay, companies would pay for pages, or how did it work? Like,
Yeah, so
it kind of it's like a G2, right?
Yeah, our model became the closest to G2. So it was like we tried our best to sell an yearly subscription, and then you can per listed page. So let's say you are Atlassian, so you pay for Trello and for Confluence and whatever. So yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Did that morph over time, or was it always kind of a flat?
So initially we were too focused on, we need to get this yearly contract and all that, but then eventually we started to be more flexible, because what we learned is that it's hard to sell to marketers because they're very used to this dynamic of Google Ads where you can be flexible. You just put money here, remove the next month and all that. So we started doing sometimes even like 3-month contracts. But the difficulty that we kind of had to push them for contracts was because we needed to let the SEO do the work first so that the customer could see the value. So that was a little bit of that as well.
Eduardo, was this before G2, or did you launch before them, so you didn't have, your comment earlier, you didn't have a competitor kind of helping?
That was after. So I think G2 probably, I know Capterra started in 1999, and G2 raised like $200 million. Right. So, but G2 didn't go to Latam. So we saw a great opportunity to build it there. Yeah. So that was actually a cool thing to sell to global vendors, because they would say, "Oh, you're like G2 of Latam." I'm like, yeah. We didn't need 200 million, but so this is another thing. Don't be so. For me, the mistake that I made also is I wanted to sell SaaS. I wanted to sell subscription. But like I said, answering Pete's question is, at the end, especially selling to marketers, what would matter most to them was to sell a result. So if I could be more flexible to sell, hey, yeah, you can pay a yearly subscription, but then also you can have a campaign, it's a minimum of 3 months, and doing more flexible deals like that, that could have generated more cash flow for us. And the thing is, because of course, if we sold more, the more SaaS we sold, the higher our valuation could be, but the more flexible we could be, the more cash flow we could bring to the company. So that was that as well. And at the end, this kind of put us in a trap sometimes of our sales cycles would get longer, the customer acquisition costs would also get longer, and then sometimes we would get churn, like I mentioned, especially on this dynamic with selling to marketers where they would want results really quick. And then this is something I really like. I'm a big fan of face-to-face sales, and that's an issue I had with some salespeople, for example, that were very like inside sales driven, and going to face-to-face opportunities was really helpful for us. So although we had some inbound leads, we also did outbound. Having the face-to-face opportunities was really great. And for what I do in business development in the US nowadays, considering the scenario that Pete showed, face-to-face works a lot more than even before. So generated higher conversion, quality connections, and I could even do it myself. So one of the things to share, like we also had this big turnover. Eventually we let go like 20 people, which was kind of drastic. And then it became definitely like founder-led sales. And one of the things that mostly helped was I would go to these conferences, and especially where there were marketers sponsoring, and I would go talk to the rich ones with the larger booths, and those would translate into nice customers. So those are some of the hacks that always worked. So I realized going face-to-face opportunities like that definitely work a lot. So this is more to share what I do nowadays. I kind of systematize. I was talking to Andrew about it actually. He was asking, how do I do my in-person sales? So actually very simple. I didn't put here many stack or software or stuff like that. It's more of like what's been working for me here in the US market. So I map out my ICP. So I try to understand, okay, who is the kind of company that I'm prospecting? And then from that company, who are the 5 key people? Like who is the buying committee that I need to go after? Then I research some relevant events that my potential buyers would be there. And doesn't need to be expensive. It could be like events in Meetup or Luma or here in Capital Factory. And then I try to find, if I have time, I try to find in advance who's going to be attending those events. And then I know who I need to talk to. I try to connect with them as much as I can on LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of Sales Navigator. And then once I'm done with doing networking with people, I put them back into this spreadsheet and score them. So I try to see, okay, who out of those people who I talked to and connected, who of those are within my ICP? The ones who are not, sure, I'm gonna follow up and keep a relationship, but the ones who are in my ICP are the ones who I'm gonna try to promote, add some value and trying to promote some kind of meeting, in-person meeting or a demo or something like that. So this has been working pretty well for me, and we'll be curious to hear what's working for you as well. This is just to finalize on the channel side. Again, don't kill a channel. Don't say outbound or inbound is dead before you try some of these. So I know this slide is a bit messy, but I just try to put here in, based on my experiences, what kind of channels that I saw that work the best. So first of all, relationships. I didn't put all the logos, but basically all the companies who I've worked for or built relationships, and I call relationships events, visiting companies or referrals, anything that's more one-on-one interaction, those work for all the companies. Siemens big time because that was very enterprise sales. But for example, Savlandia and Ancient, that's basically our motion because it's selling to development teams and eventually becoming their co-CTO. So you need to build a lot of trust before you get there. Targeted outbound. So sometimes I hear people saying, hey, outbound is dead. But then when I go talk about what's outbound for you, is normally that email blast. I don't do that email blast, but I've had some great success with outbound, even last year with B2B Stack, with a junior SDR I trained. But the way we had success was to do this very contextualized outbound, where we did real research on the accounts we wanted to go after, and we really tracked them on LinkedIn and saw what were they commenting, what events they were going, and then when we went after them, we went with the right kind of context. So I didn't bring an example here, I wish I had, but it really works. So I had this junior guy reaching out to the head of marketing of one of the largest fintechs of Latam, and that was the largest sale of the company last year. So it does work.
When you say outbound, what does that mean for you?
So,
in that context.
Yeah, what that means for me is reaching out to a person who doesn't know me. So that person's not coming after me.
But in terms of channel, I mean, for the person that you mentored.
Yeah.
So you said you did your research, you followed them on LinkedIn
Yeah.
to make sure that they're a good target, and then what channel, LinkedIn, email, phone, do you use, or was it a combination?
He used through LinkedIn, phone, and email.
Okay, all three.
Can I ask you, so in your case, you made like outbound mails for LinkedIn, I don't know, posts with interesting topics about sphere, business, and so on. And sometimes in LinkedIn, for example, in your case, it works better when you are like a founder posting, because people, and it's sometimes very difficult to, I don't know, when people share something from companies, maybe it's interesting, maybe so on, but it's so difficult to find person who can produce this wonderful content. How did you do it?
So one of the things that I got to train this junior SDR to do is, we were doing events like this every quarter. So I was like, hey, you could leverage these kinds of events to invite people, because you're not prospecting to, hey, just let's have a meeting or something, but let's involve that person in our community, or he would go searching her LinkedIn what event she was speaking, or what she was posting, and then mention something related to it, something interesting about it, and say, hey, I think it's interesting for you to talk to our founder. So it wasn't necessarily me reaching out to her, but he did it in a very good way, so it would work out.
Thank you.
And then as far as inbound, it worked pretty well for, like I mentioned, predictable revenue because of the moat, and Nutshell is just SMB sales, so inbound was definitely the motion for go-to-market. The company that I saw this the most automated and scalable thing of doing go-to-market was Nutshell, but Nutshell was very evolved already. They already figured out the go-to-market fit and everything. But
what sort of automation?
What's that?
What sort of automation?
So basically, the company was doing product-led growth before I joined. So I was like the first salesperson, and so it was a mix of, they figured out what worked well as far as Google ads, Facebook ads back in the day, and we had this amazing tracking of what was the journey of the buyer once they got to a free trial, and then from the free trial we figured out how many minutes that buyer needed to spend on the trial so that he would be ready to buy. And so initially it was kind of easy to find some low-hanging fruits as a salesperson and close them, and also what the sales motion helped was to figure out new customers that weren't converting and why, so it unlocked some growth as well.
Yeah, I guess what's it like selling in Brazil versus the US? Just like, I don't know, culturally, or it just feels like Brazil is just such a big, it's like way big, like land-wise, way bigger than the US, and it just, there's just feels like a big untapped market to me.
Yeah, it's a big untapped market, and it's quite difficult, I think. One of the reasons is, although a lot of the buyers are in this region of greater São Paulo, the country is very spread and it's kind of like Mexico. You go to different regions and they have their kind of own culture. So for predictable revenue, one of the things we did was this country tour where we would do events. We would do events in different states of the country, and then we would build these local communities. So that worked pretty well, because then we would tap into a bubble that wasn't really part of our São Paulo thing. So
you keep some ambassador in these states, and so you just only have the tour, or you have like some regular ambassador in every place, every city. Yeah.
Great thing. We would make an ambassador.
Yeah.
So the team who I sold predictable revenue to actually did a great job into creating this kind of this franchise model, where there will be not only ambassadors but like certified predictable revenue consultants.
Like a partner, yeah.
Yeah.
Local
So yeah, they are doing a very good job of that. Yeah, so that's one of the things, is like there's some regional dynamics as well. And yeah, to sell software, I consider if you are like in SMB or mid-market, you need to do a lot of education. Again, like I mentioned, I think the market's kind of, here in the US, you go look at G2, there's thousands of categories. In B2B Stack, we had about 500 of software categories. So it's still like, it's not yet that digital, although it's one of the largest users of social media, LinkedIn, but for software adoption, it's still changing. And for a lot of the US companies, it's worth going enterprise, because enterprise then it's more digital and they have the budget. So.
Yeah. I mean, what I've run into is like the currency exchange rate, and like, I don't know, when I was at Atlassian, they would not budge on the price at all, which was frustrating, because I'd be talking to like, what's the, Ripa, or it's Ripa, it's like Amazon of Brazil, what's the name of it? Rippy?
Magazine Luiza? No.
Yeah, sorry, but, and so, yeah, that was the challenge, you know, because like, yeah, I feel like there's a propensity to buy the currency exchange and stuff. I don't know. Maybe if you're based in Brazil, then it's easier or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely.
I mean, if you were just going to start another company, would you sell into Brazil?
Depends. Some markets, like fintech, it has a lot of opportunities in Brazil for fintech, or like technology for agriculture is huge. So depends on the market, I would say.
Add some context.
Yeah.
So yeah, from Brazil as well, and the difference is, I see you're very curious about the currency side of things, and so on the one side is exactly like some specific industries, they are giant there, right? Like how he said. And also the cost of things, it's so different, because it's not only everything is cheaper. It's like people are cheaper, but things are expensive, like manufactured technology, hardware, those things are more expensive, because Brazil is not huge in technology, and you know, exporting computers, it's not, you know, our thing as a Brazilian, like, unfortunately. So the cost of people is lower, so it's easier for you to find, let's say, local, you know, professionals to do something. But yeah, it's more expensive for you to import, you know, machinery and computers and good technology. So on the cost side, the dynamics are very different because of this, you know, the currency exchange. And on the cultural side, I would add that what he mentioned about the relationships, I think in Brazil it's even more like it's heavier on, you know, on the equation, by the fact that Brazilians are really warm, and someone would rather do business with someone they're friends with, for sure. Like I hear that about Italians as well, like that the relationships actually speak sometimes louder than actually a return on investment. And even though it's everywhere, right? Here in US as well. But I would say that in Brazil, that's even more important. So I think it's,
It's mentality, yeah.
Yeah.
It's same for Middle East.
The culture,
We
right?
are going, yeah.
So one of the things that's actually funny is, so now we hear here in the US, like Pete said, oh, now you gotta sell for ROI, right? And we would read some of them like, it's, in Brazil it's always been like that, like, because we need to be so persuasive all the time, because buyers, they take longer time to make a decision. They need to see a lot of the ROI. They want to see short-term results. So that's going to the software world. That's some of the difficulty.
And
that's why
contracts,
enterprise tends to be better.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. So, anyways, one of the things to summarize in this is I like what I learned from Aaron Ross, which is this pie that he talks about, which is the seeds, nets, and spears. So at the end, these channels here, I'll summarize as seeds, nets, and spears. So if you're running a startup or a service company, my recommendation is focus on the seeds as much as you can, which is the relationships you can build, the events you can go, and then the nets, which would be the inbound. Of course, as you have more capital, it's good to invest in that, but it's a long-term gain. And the spears, which is throwing the harpoon, doing targeted outbound. I'm a strong believer in outbound, but if done correctly. So whenever you have time to really build a system on it, I was chatting with Andrew about it. Nowadays, I drop the ball on outbound because like I'm basically always either closing or doing business development in person. But whenever you have the bandwidth to do it, I'm a big fan of it. And of course, it depends on what's your average sales price or sales cycle, other factors as well. So if I had to start from zero again, so some of these things I did, but some of the things it's definitely like, it's clear to me that I would close my first 10 customers myself. So I did it with my startups, but definitely this is the strong message that I have for myself, and I would advise founders to think like that. So although even if you're a tech person, try your best to close your 10 customers or your first customers yourself, and then with that you would figure out what kind of minimum kind of process you need, what's the kind of sales cycle you'll have, and what you can ask for a salesperson to deliver once you hire that person. Build case studies fast. That's going to help you, like I mentioned, both know better how to tell the story to your next customers and to market your product in a better way, and then generate more organic growth, more word of mouth. And then the last step is to layer channels methodically, which is going back to this slide. So not be too influenced by what's happening, what people are talking on LinkedIn and killing channels, but be methodical, understand what can work best for you, if it's inbound, if you have a strong brand, if there's a moat there, or if it's building systematically your outbound motion. So think carefully about that. All right, so thanks for your time. It was a pleasure. If you want to talk to me, I'm always here in Capital Factory 5th floor. So for those who hang out here, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I didn't put the QR code, but it's Eduardo Muller, and here's my email. All right, thanks Val, thanks Lucy.
Yeah, thank you Eduardo, thank you Pete and I have some notes because I don't want to lose something and miss. So thank you for sharing your experience. It's hard to talk about mistakes, but in my mind when we prepared this topic, I understand that in sales we must do mistakes, not maybe every day, every call, every action, and it's fine because it looks like a loop. You have some challenge, you fix it, you have next, you need to make some decision, and you have like next. Sometimes we do something right, something wrong, but it's fine, and maybe it helps us to grow and scale. And it's very cool because it's interesting. Every startup, every business product, you can make some different pivots, you can make some different products, so it's cool. I hope so. Yeah, and you've been talking about mistakes. I just only understand it today that our company, Big Sister AI, we do the same. So we help fix mistakes in sales process. It looks like we give you methodology, and then we show you scorecards, how your salespeople follow this methodology in any channels, in calls, in meetings, in emails, in CRM, and you have these like reports. It's very cool. It looks like your Jarvis from Iron Man, who helps you every day with direct feedback what's wrong with you today, what's the biggest mistakes you made today. So if you have any question, we usually are based in 16.4, so 5th floor, 16.4, you can find all of us. Maybe Pete can be in downtown sometimes too. Thank you so much for this event, but next month, we try to do this every month. Next month, we'll have other cool speaker, and I recommend you follow Sales OStin in Luma, and maybe schedule next meeting in the end of the August. We'll have maybe I
August
don't.
28th.
Huh?
August 28th.
28, okay, yeah, so I don't share with you our two another speaker. You can find it in Luma a little bit later. And thank you for this, that you joining us today, and I hope that you have cool rest of your week. Thank you so much.
We have
always one tradition with doing the last fora. So I invite you to do fora. I think we can do it on this way. Let's do fora, please, okay? And we'll, yeah, finish the pizza. Maybe it's okay. Well, can you help me to say? I will ask Elijah. Yeah, I will ask Elijah to fora us. It's our helper. Okay, please welcome you on also.
So front row for you, obviously.
Please. How are you? One moment, please. I will come back right now.
Maybe we can photo
Okay,
results.
okay. But do you know, it will be some clothes. We need to be close. Yeah. No, you're singing very well. Don't worry about this. Okay.
We do the little bend over the knees.
Moment. Oh yeah, that's fine. Cheese, mistakes. Pivot.
Iterate. Yeah, wait. We probably will be there too. Oh, yeah. We can do selfie. Yeah, selfie. But first of all,
What you can do, you can just turn camera and do 5 seconds, and you can do this way, so it will be more.
It's fine. It's fine without music.
Thank you so much.
You guys are married, I think, right?
The problem that I have is that right? And they send me a bill for a shoulder replacement for $50,000. But it's really $10,000, right? So how do you know that those prices? That has been the hardest thing for me. There's one kind of very familiar with the shipping going and search for like but it's so I think so that's the biggest challenge that I see. Yeah, that's so there is a company called ExamWorks. So what ExamWorks does is we get the invoices for whatever you have, your banker, you want to see a doctor, chiropractor, whatever, and then this is all this method, right? So we send it to ExamWorks, and ExamWorks because everything is code, right? Like you have a conference, you code, everything is coded. So ExamWorks will say, okay, that was a really 10,000, it was 6,000. So ExamWorks sort of helps with that. Yeah, but the issue becomes with whether it's necessary, right? Like, do we really need 4 MRIs? Maybe 1 MRI would have been sufficient, right?
So this is a
So I come on Tuesday. So have you actually seen the VR equipment and have you actually communicated with the VR and transport the different
What your children want. On the VR, I've been important. Great. And the other one is going to do
I'll be in the light. Okay.
Може вибрати. Я забула це зробити на вишивку, може Oh, yeah.
So like any motion of the scale, so nervous system has
It's a great city. It's still a thing that's not closing the city. I grew up in Yeah, you're almost there. You're almost there. I think you're about I know I've been more like Delaware, like the East
So like, you know, there is a lot of language, there's a lot of books. So there's something legend. So I have to turn it on.
It's cheaper? Correct. Yeah. But they sell in Mexico? Oh, no. So they sell in the US, but they're bilingual. Actually, someone calls it English, they don't have it. Yeah, so these are bilingual people. Oh, okay, yeah. Terrible. Yeah, that's right. So they are bilingual. They live in Mexico, obviously because of cost savings purposes. But it's,
probably the most like general. I don't know.
This was great work, what is this talking about? Different modes, like, bigger and build this app, so lots of stuff out of it. Each one was
you're now that it's on app, say like made for you, maybe check why under the other way goes. Alright, yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow then.
Okay.
Keep the line open.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, thank you.
Super easy.
Oh, no, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It's fun.
Thank you, I
This is one of my
appreciate it.
products, if you want it, it's like a blog, so you just like go and you select which apps and websites you want yourself at, this is my super one. And then you can't access them until you physically restricted. So if I take that as a thing, so this product could be cool. But we just hit scheduling, so you don't have to opt in every day. I'll lock you into certain meetings. Yeah, for a great event. I think we are connected. Yeah, but let's take contact.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yes. Only leave a 5-star review in the App Store, but I want all of them to feedback.
Maybe it's the issue of separation.
Yeah.
So great.
I want all the most brutal feedback.
No.
But don't make it public.
Don't worry about it.
No holds barred.
You wanna try this? Sometimes this.
That's the most common thing, right? Soda or Warfield? Soda? Yeah. Can I, so, what's the name of the company? Or Lucas and yeah. Just to yeah.
Few pieces of pizza.
Alright.
Yes.
And I already put the location is at the coffee.
Alright.
Okay.
Congrats.
This is great.
No, great speech from you and a great presentation.
Thank you, Lucy. You're finally having a chance.
Sometimes you do know someone with presentations, it helps to structure.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming.
Ways, and
Yeah.
you can see this, why you can listen to the story, so it's great.
Hi.
Hey, Lucas. Good seeing you, man.
Great talk.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you, Valentin?
Valentin.
Lucas, nice to meet you. See you around.
Lucas.
Bye, Lucy.
If you guys need help with anything.
No,
No,
don't
don't worry
worry
about
about it.
it.
Alright.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want one piece
Pizza, do you
of
want
pizza,
really?
you can.
Often it's empty always.
I think I'll get a slice.
Yeah.
Oh, people were shy to eat.
No, it's maybe some of them, but usually it's not a problem to be
Maybe
shy.
they talk a lot, so. Always empty, but only this, so I don't think they're shy.
How is this event been for you guys so far?
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was nice that a lot of people ask questions during the presentation, so often it's not so. They maybe sometimes ask after, but in this case it works, and yeah, I think it was very nice.
And it depends from the topic, experience. We had some case when have had two guys from enterprise, like from Oracle and from SAP, and they share their experience. And some guys don't understand anything, but they say, "Oh, okay, you can build this flow in this tool, and then you can do this one." and share a lot of methodology from enterprise. And a lot of guys say, oh, okay, what is it? What is it? Can you explain this word, this flow? What you mean when you're talking about this? So yeah.
No, it was great, really. It was very nice. I liked it today, how
And you talked with Pete before, and it looks cool because you know you like complementary for each other. So
yeah, I love that he shared his slides with me because then I didn't step on his foot.
Absolutely.
So you changed some slides, yeah?
No, not change. It's like show each other.
Yeah, he called me then. He sent the slides. Like, okay, cool. Great guy.
Yeah, Pete is very open, and we spoke a lot when he prepared this. So yeah, what I have understood that always will be fine because sometimes you don't know how it will be. Last time it was topic was avoid cold calls, and guys say how to do cold calls a lot. So it was, but we saw his slide. It was super weird because one guy made the slides, another one decided to join to him, something like this. But it works bad. It's not a nice idea because like.
But in summary, it looks like every event you have different experience, different format of topics because different people, different style of sharing it. So it's fine. And plus, it looks like you have the reason to discover the local market, local expert market, and to find someone's show this experience for guys, and maybe try to find some connection in Capital Factory and bring them here because most of them they ignore sales events because all of them the best seller.
And again, so you need to rent a place here. So
we don't need because we're a portfolio company here.
So you just do the food and just promote to your. Do you promote your email list and LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's like a Luma and have this.
Do you want pizza?
No. Question: is there parking validation?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Sorry.
No. Just otherwise they gouge you.
Thank you that you come back and ask about this.
Yes,
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you. Bye bye.
So you put it on Luma and like Meetup?
Yeah, the Luma Meetup. Then we try to gather all of them in CRM, and we are thinking about some tool for newsletter and for some outreach later to build this like a community and move this like a community part, because now we just only like event community, but I want to move it in some place where we can talk with each other after and like between the events as well.
We probably had what, 25 people here today?
I guess, yeah.
Today it was nearly,
Well, like
20,
50
25.
registration and 25. It's like 50%.
No, it was 22 person who was there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
50% drop from who?
Yeah. 50, 40 dropped, yeah. Sometimes we have like, maybe the biggest, it was like 40, but usually it's like 25 plus, but yeah.
Today it was okay. For summer it was very nice.
Yeah, summer.
And
again, it's not only like summer. I don't understand how it works. Maybe you have the same experience in Brazil, but in Ukraine, it was 2010. We understand that you cannot find sales events as well. You have like just only trainer, Hfiive or something, but you don't have like true experts on the market who can share something. So we start doing, we call it Sales Cafe, and we start doing this every month. And it was hard to explain that it's valuable, because again, it's like football. Everyone thinks that they are the best one in the football, and they understand it's like a sport. They can give suggestion and recommendation for players. The same with sales. A lot of founders, they say, "Oh, I'm the best of the best, but I need to hire my first sales rep and delegate everything for them." And most of we talk with a lot of people here, and they say, "Oh, I hate sales. Sales scare me. Where is money? We hire someone and do it. So maximum fundraising, but sales it's not for me." And
yeah, that's a pity, like, because that's more painful to
Yeah.
not to be like to found a company and not sell. Like I was talking to a founder today. She does. I mean, of course, there's time fundraising too, but then she's relying on somebody to do the sales for her.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people here
Yeah.
who,
Well, most of them, yeah.
And when we arrived here, when we became portfolio, we saw that there are a lot of AI development, something about technologies, but nobody say about sales.
Yeah.
But every say, we need raise money,
We
but
need
every
traction, but
investor-
traction itself. So
Yeah.
you need to sell for this. You need to bring this for the table, and but again, it's okay. And this format of these events we do for more friendly format. So it's not like training when you need to go and pitch or something to do something active. You just only need to listen someone who can share some ideas and just only find your way for sales. But again, it's okay.
But what are you guys looking for the next event? Like, you trying to get more people or more managerial or more?
Yeah, next event I hope that we will have a bigger number of attendees because we do some homework for this, and we will have like superstar.
That guy's
Scott Lees.
Scott Lees,
Yeah, and I guess it helps because a lot of he's like the most maybe famous guy in Austin himself. Yeah, I don't remember. It's like 200K followers in LinkedIn. So he's like.
Is he gonna post about it?
Maybe. Yeah, but we we don't focus on like numbers.
Mm-hmm.
We try to choose right people who want to be like every month and be like regular active members. Give us 5 minutes.
Few minutes, please.
Yeah. So it's why because it works like a log proof for us, like for company. So big sister with Capital Factory do this event. We have people who maybe don't miss any event. We have some of them, and you have photo with one of them. It's like Volodymyr. It's like Ukrainian.
Oh, he's
It's
very frequent.
he's our customer. He's our angel investor.
Oh, nice.
And he's our like big fan of
brand lover.
Yeah,
That's great. Those are great to.
They moved in Austin because of we talked with
They
them.
were
Yeah.
in a lot of countries and they were in a lot of states and they saw so many places.
They
and
discover all US.
Yeah.
And they choose Austin because we talk to them and say we love Austin and probably know something, so we moved to Austin. So
Nice. That's great. So you guys have like a community of Ukrainians?
Yeah, we have a community. It's not like when we can meet each other like every week, but we have some like holidays, and we can bring like a few dozen people for some like holidays or birthday party.
Yeah.
And we have some school, like a center, Ukrainian school for Sundays. Mostly not for summer. Summer we like skip. And
we skip, but school is good.
We skip, yeah. So we skip, but they're going. It's like summer program. So school, one of the place where they can gather a few hundreds people and kids. And we have some different volunteer events sometimes, like musical, Ukrainian, food, some. So yeah.
Nice. Good. That's great. Well, congrats again. Thanks for inviting. And
Thank you for sharing it.
Is it mine? I think.
I don't know.
I think it's your.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's
Okay. Are you sure you don't need any help to carry anything?
Don't
Don't worry about this.
Alright.
Don't worry.
I'll look forward to share some photos later then.
Sure, I will send tomorrow. Are you in Luma like attendance or no?
Yes.
Oh, you will receive email. I will send there and photos too, and special I try to put it in like Google Disk too, that you can share it with somebody and
Alright.
so on.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Thanks.
And
Thanks
can
for
I share your presentation?
Yeah.
I remember that
Like
Pete
PDF,
say the
yeah?
same, yeah? Yeah, I will do it, because people ask, so I will
Feel
share
free, feel free.
presentation too.
Yeah, sounds
Great,
good.
thank
All right,
you.
super. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. Have a good night.
Have a good day. Good night. Що, мені здається, все прекрасно прям вийшло.
Я погоджуюсь.
Прям те, що треба, без
Заберемо ці свої там піци, якщо це приємно.
Я її, да, піцу одну я зараз заберу.
А он тут це не бачить.
Як Едуарду сподобалось?
Так, мені здається, сподобалось, і піду сподобалось.
Так, під взагалі.
І- Ні,
Відкритий,
під прям для мене відкриття сьогодні. Я щось думаю, він
дуже
такий більш
класний якийсь.
такий більш закритий. Мені здалося. Ну він трохи є закритий, але йому сподобалось, знаєш. Такий прям хоче дружити.
А ця Марія, вона приїхала спеціально сюди на івент, здалося.
Так?
Так. І сказала, я приїхала до вас на івент і ще приїхала подивитися, типу, завтра скажу там ще на один там профіль якийсь. Але я кажу, так я до вас приїхала. Кажу, о, до вас,
Круто, да, вона якась дуже прикольна.
Так, вона така супер екстра. Вона, типу, я кажу, ти, ну, вона, типу, 20 років вже живе в Далласі, тому, ну.
А цей чоловік, який Шон, здається, який з цього з павільйону.
Ага, да.
От, він каже, що він з католізом грає в гольф.
А, да?
Вони там живуть поряд.
Прикольно.
Да.
На Лейквені?
Да, я все, приїду точно до вас на наступний.
Угу. Круто.
Круто, що ви робите все, типа. І...
А йому сподобалося?
Так, йому сподобалося.
Це вже так приємно, правда?
Це дуже приємно, і це дуже круто, тому що є це якесь відчуття. Я ще сьогодні підготував собі певні заготовки, але все одно трохи пройобуєш. Виходиш щось там десь, ну не хочеш читати, не хочеш підв'язати, і треба буде відкатати. Але вже багато сьогодні використовували фразочок, от, щоб вже воно якось було більш цілісно. Думаю, що обкатаю. Чи що?
Кажу, майже не боїться ніхто глухи. А як Вові взагалі?
Ну ніби нормально, він молодець, що завезли цю голову.
Так, це взагалі. А оця, я думала, вона росіянка, вона не росіянка, вона з Баку. Вона, да, ми з нею англійську все, вона така дуже прям дружня. Така, типу,
Ну, у неї росіянський акцент.
росіянський акцент, але вона типу з Баку, вона сама каже,
Ні, я розумію, я
ну,
розумію.
типа, ну нормально
Вона
вона,
ж там
коротше.
все. Ні, це добре, що вона.
Так, це добре.
Бо я ще таки думаю, ти б там, напевно, не спілкував. Я ну, не думаю, що там щось погане, бо думаю, ти
Ні, я спочатку послухала про що, як, а потім вже вона така каже, ну типа, каже, в мене єдине, що родичі приїхали в Росію, батьки. Каже, як ви спілкуєтеся? А ніяк, каже, жахливо взагалі. Ну, типа, я там, каже, я сюди приїхала, там, прячучись від якось від війни чи щось, ну, це. Я кажу, а ви там, ну, каже, ну що з ними зробити? Їм так вже по 70 років, то як же, типа, я потім їм казала, каже, ну, щось вона прийшла, каже, а який Ваня в мові крутіш, краще? Каже, бо мені і українська, і англійська прекрасно, я типу все розумію, знаєш, ну, типу, нормально. Так, оце я залишила. Ні, все-таки одну пачку з'їли вроді. Так, ми з'їли. Це добре. І вони, бачиш, сиділи всі до кінця.
Та ні, приємно. Я думаю, що з Пітом треба буде прям ще потусувати.
А він сам сказав, він треба типу зустрітися якось, я кажу, так, взагалі, типу, бо...
Ні, я до того, що це, знаєш, вже той момент, де от із Едуардом і з Пітом вже це типу такий рівень якогось вже дружбанства. Ну, тобто ти робиш івент і ти вже типу, знаєш, зовсім на іншому рівні відносин. Це прям якась класна така тема, це мені дуже подобається тут в івентах.
Я не брала з собою сумку, щоб покласти ноут.
Я покладу свою.
Да? Поклади, будь ласка. Більше там. Закінчила трансляцію.
Це не твоя, да?
Я не знаю.
Ну, може пускай.
Можливо так, можливо ні. Ну все вроді.